apologize. It was really a 6-hour workshop, but okay, so anyway, we are going to do this in a 1 hour, which means that most of the things that we're going to be talking about, really, we're going to try not to go too fast, but like I said, this was really something that we developed for a 6-hour meeting face-to-face, and now we're condensing it down to 1. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask in our chat area, and our co-worker, our teammate, Kristen, will answer, and she will also let us know if there's anything that we need to answer.
Yes. And also, do make sure that you're saying a quick hello in the comments, because that's how we're going to be tracking your credit for today and that you're participating with us. Another side note is, as we're working today, we may be toggling through a couple different windows. So we'll do our best to help you through that. But in order to get the full experience, we'd love you to do that along with us. And if you happen to be viewing this webinar as a recording, so the link will be provided after, you will be able to work on those participation pieces as we move through as well. So please make sure you're doing that. So, in the description of the webinar, if you click View More or Show More, there should be a link there, and it will take you to our Google site. So if you could take a second and click that with us. Hopefully you've made it there. If you're, again, if you're having any difficulties, please type in the chat and Kristen will be able to help you. But we created this site to have resources for today. So even though we may not be covering everything in super depth, it'll kind of be the house for everything. And right here, where it says Nearpod presentation during live webinar, you're going to go ahead and click that. And it should open up a Nearpod presentation for you to type your name in, and then hopefully be joining along with us.
Okay. Everyone in?
Hopefully.
Is everyone at where we need to be? Okay. All right. So actively engaging students, this workshop is really about what can you do with your one-to-one devices in the classroom. You've got a classroom full of first graders, you've got a classroom full of sixth graders, maybe some high school kids. And how can we get them interacting and being actively involved in their learning? We have some tools that we really want to outline today. One of the tools that actually we're really looking at right now is Nearpod. You want to keep going?
Yeah, well, we can go right to the next slide. So okay. Nearpod is kind of that interactive tool that makes your slide presentations come to life. So you're inside of it right now as a student. So I'm taking you automatically to the next slide, hopefully, and hopefully that changed for you. So we have one of our first pieces that you can include as a teacher, and it's called the collaboration board. So we set it up to look like a cork board, and there's a question posed. So could you take a few moments to go ahead and answer that question for us? And this is something really great. The kids will be able to see it in live time. Mm-hmm. You can put any type of question up. Question, because we'll try and kind of gear today's discussion around them.
And if you look down toward the bottom, there's a little text box down there. It says share your thoughts or images here. That's where you would click and you would start typing out your thoughts of how are you currently using technology in the classroom. Once you have something ready to post, go ahead and click post. As a group, we're going to see them populate onto the cork board so that we can do it together.
Yes.
So as a teacher, because we're running the teacher view here, we ended up putting a comment onto the cork board. So as a teacher, you can do that as well while we're waiting for our other participants to tell us how are you currently using technology in the classroom.
Yes, and please do. So as you're participating, this will kind of help with your credits toward your your credit hours. So seeing you participate on the corkboard is helpful. Oh, one-to-one iPads, Alyssa, thank you. You must be maybe working with some littles. iPads are good for littles, but also upper elementary too. We'll give you about another 30 seconds because we want to dive into other things too, but we're excited to see how you're already using it in your room so we can help relate.
Any other thoughts? Anything? Pictures. Okay, Jan,
Okay.
thank you.
Laptops, only working towards it in my classroom. Okay,
Okay.
very good. Well, at least we have something. You have some piece of technology in your classroom.
Kathy, I use the iPads also. Mine are old.
That's good. So we see the.
So how did you feel? Well, I'm asking a question. You can reply to Kristen. Sorry, Kristen. But how did you feel about this collaboration piece? I mean, do you find it that this might be something beneficial? You can use it for brainstorming activity. There's different applications that you can use this for in the classroom. But what's really great is that this is built into Nearpod, and it's just something that you can pull into a Nearpod presentation. You can adjust like a Google Classroom slide you can bring into the presentation, and then you can maneuver and edit how you see fit within your classroom. So this is just one of those activities.
Yeah. No, you're good. So we're going to go ahead and take you to the next slide. And we're just going to kind of roll through today's topics.
Okay, yeah, so today's topics. I'm just really kind of curious, how many of you have used the G Suite app Google Drawings? If you haven't used Google Drawings, it is an amazing, it's one of those hidden treasures within G Suite. Here's just some examples of some of the Google Drawing pieces. Like here's one. This is a Google Drawing. It's parts of a flower googling. Have you ever heard of a googling? This is where you make interactive, you can put icons, pictures, anything that's interactive in here, and you can attach by attaching a web link out to a video, out to another web source, maybe to another picture. But this is just a great example of student power and then adding additional information to it. I just thought that this was an interesting one. The one thing that I do want to mention about Google Drawing is that if you click on File and you come down here, once you have your drawing created, if you go down to Download, you're able to download this drawing into as a PDF document, as a JPEG document. That just gives you an additional file for you to actually put somewhere else. So maybe it's something that you attach to a Google Classroom prompt, or you attach it to maybe a Google site, or anything that you're building. This just gives you the ability to make this as a static file, and then you can just put the file, embed the file wherever you need to put it. Embed, attach, insert, however you want to do that. So there's one example. Here's another one. This one's for younger ones. This is a butterfly life cycle diagram, and this was just built in Google Drawings. Right now I can't really manipulate this because this is a view only. If you see something in Google that's a view only, don't be afraid to do a file and make a copy. Now that copy becomes yours, you're able to manipulate and do whatever it is that you need to do. So students, and then they would go in and they would just put the pictures in the life cycle form, and then send it back to you as a completed assignment in Google Classroom. So I thought that was kind of neat. And really the only thing students are really doing here are just manipulating the images to where they need to move them. The other thing that they could do is they could actually add some tools or add some shapes, maybe some arrows, a circle. You know, once you introduce something like this to students, they get very, very creative. Here's a pictograph. This one's kind of interesting. This one also is only a view only. If we made a copy of this, you could actually have students use or drag the picture and put the appropriate amount, matching them up to the numbers down at the bottom. So that's something that you can do with your littles. Here's something maybe for some older students. Here's like a Venn diagram. So you could create a Venn diagram in drawing. This is interesting because it looks like a Google Doc. The drawing itself was done
I think that's what this is. But the drawing itself was done in Google Drawing, and that would just really be using the shapes. Here's another example. This is a really great example. This is a poetry example, and this was created by Casey Bell with Shake Up Learning, and it's really just having students, students get their own copy, you attach it as an assignment in Google Classroom, and students are able to drag, right, the words around and create poetry.
Very cool.
Yep, magnetic poetry. I like the refrigerator. Isn't that kind of neat?
I know, it's cute. It's
so
awesome.
if we actually look at the actual, and I don't want to take too long, but if we actually look at, I want to get to Drive. If I go to Drive and I go to New, this is how you would access Google Drawings. It's under your More menu. If you're in Drive, you click on the plus sign, you go down to More, you get a flyout menu. From that flyout menu, you're going to see probably first, second one is going to be a Google Drawing. When you open up Google Drawing, I mean, you basically have a blank canvas, which is great because this is where all the magic happens, right? You use your menus here. You can do insert images, search images, bring them in from your Drive, whatever you want to do with that. And then arrange, you can format. The only thing that you have to remember when you're working with Google Drawing is that you're working with layering, basically, and from layering you can move things around, you can reorder images, and it's just really, that's how you build your interactive pieces.
Very good.
Anyone have any questions on this one?
No, we're just having some technical difficulties from before with Nearpod, but I think we're working.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay.
So something that might be tricky is, so you might have a couple of tabs open right now. You probably have your Nearpod lesson open, and then you'll also have the YouTube webinar tab open. So we'll try and direct you which tab to be on so that way we can kind of move along together. So can I ask you to go to your Nearpod tab, and you should be seeing today's topics. And I'm gonna go ahead and send you to our site. So hopefully you are there with us. And I'm going to be talking to you about another G Suite application. So if you click on G Suite across the top, which is Google Slides. So if you scroll all the way down with us, you can look at some Google Slides. Now, you can do this along with me, or if you want to stay on that webinar tab, you'll be able to see my screen and participate and just kind of watch along with us. So Google Slides is also a really great tool to use interactively. So in our site, we have a place for you to click a copy to make it of your own. So I'm gonna go ahead and click that and make a copy. So now this lives in your Drive, and any changes you're going to make will stay there with you, which is a really good perk. And then you can share this with your kids as needed. So let me just show you in present mode. So again, I'd stay in the webinar tab so you can kind of watch along with me. So as I'm clicking through, you'll see this image, and then it drops down and gives the students a definition. So you can do this with photos. Here's a little Spanish. And then you can also do it with straight definition, and then your word, and then your definition. Applicable for math too. So it kind of goes through flashcard-esque for the kids to use. And you can have them make this themselves, or you can make it and have them practice. So that is kind of a nice feature. And how I did this was I made these two separate pieces, and when I go to insert animation, I have the whole slide animated, but then I also have where it says fly up from top is just this one piece, treble clef. So that's how I had the picture come down, and then just this moved down on the click. So the students at first will just see that treble clef picture, and then that image will then slide down for them as if it were a flashcard. So that's kind of something fun for the kids to use. And these are just text boxes, so you could change the colors of them using the fill feature, however you want to make it cutesy for the kids, but just kind of a nice feature for them to use or you to use as an instructional tool. And we also have a few other examples. I'm not going to go through each one because they are very similar. So building a snowman, it's that same kind of drag and drop activity that Val was talking about in Google Drawing, but you can also do it in Google Slide, which is nice that both are versatile. So if you're more comfortable in one avenue and app versus the other, you can kind of make them both work to your advantage.
Right.
So here's our fun little snowman, and each piece can drag around. And the kids can copy, so that's also a good feature for them to practice, and paste little eyes. You can move these out, change them up. Some shoes. Oh, this is both of them one at a time. Some arms, and copy and paste them. So again, really good for working on those computer skills with copy and paste for kids, and then also, again, that manipulative feature.
And also, this is a writing activity. So once they build their snowman, now you can use it as a writing activity where students can actually start talking about, maybe write a paragraph about their snowman or describe their snowman, or however you want to use this activity here.
Exactly.
But actually, these are very easy to create. So at some point, if you ever want to learn a little more how you can actually spend a little bit of time to create some of these slides here, it's really just finding clip art and just dragging them over, and then once the kids get access to this, it's basically just Control-C, Control-V. Those are really the only kind of skills that they really need at this point to build their snowman, right? Because if you think about it, this would be something that you would put out in Google Classroom again as an assignment. You'd make a copy for each student, so each student would have their own copy. So up here, instead of copy, it would actually have the student's name, build a snowman view version 2. So that way, when they went ahead and they completed the assignment, they completed the writing piece, they submitted it to Google Classroom, now you have something actually that you can grade.
Right. And so just to show you really quick in Google Classroom, if you were to upload one of these files, so Google Classroom is also actually in our site, how to create a Google Classroom if you don't have one already. It's a quick little video that you can watch on your own time. It's very simple to create one. But what I wanted to show you is how you would create a activity. So if I went into my demo class and went to classwork and create. So in Google Classroom, if you create a material, that's going to be a view only. So maybe those flashcards that I showed you earlier, you want the kids to just go through at home and click through and practice. So you could upload them as a material. And I could find them right in my drive and upload them from there. The internet's just acting a little slow. As a view only. You could also, if you wanted the kids to manipulate, so like that snowman activity that we showed you, you could do that as an assignment. And I will actually go ahead and add that because I want you to see these options down here. So when you have an assignment, you always have the option for them to just view it, but you also have this magical button to make a copy for each student. That's going to be super important, okay? Making a copy for each student. That means each of them will now own that activity, and then they can turn it back into you for you to leave feedback and those types of things.
So here's the thing, if you don't make a copy for each student and you just give them the one file and you attach it to the assignment, you have everybody changing the one Google Slide presentation. So everybody's building the snowman at the same time. So
Exactly.
We want to make sure that if you're assigning this to students that you want to actually go ahead and make a copy for each student so that they have their own activity and their own assignment.
And then one last thing that I want to show you in Google Slides is this little spooky metaphor figurative language piece that I had created. It's very simple, but it kind of shows how you can take your own content and manipulate it. So here I have the kids dragging and dropping similes versus metaphors, and they're just sorting. On the next slide, I have a fill in the blank. So my word bank is down here as separate entities, and then they drag it up where it belongs. So again, really simple to make. These were just separate text boxes, and then I just held down shift and the dash, and that creates my fill in the blanks there. Nothing too crazy, but it adds that manipulative feature and the tech behind it. And then here they're just completing the sentences, kind of just more of a creative activity. So they just start typing after the sentence. And again, when you assign that in Google Classroom, you would just make sure to make a copy for each student.
Can I ask, please?
Of course.
And the Nearpod presentation?
Nope, we still have the Nearpod up. We should, at least.
We're getting an error message.
Okay. Can they refresh it, maybe?
Okay, so we have,
Let's see. It shows that we have a few on. We just have 2 that are red.
Bonnie and Kristen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Were they able to see that? Were they, so when you click
Um,
on, I don't know if they're able to see
Yeah,
that.
if you're on your webinar tab with YouTube, you should be able to see our screen mirror. So this is kind of nice. This is the teacher view. So we can check and see how many of you are on. So we have about 5 that are live and 2 or 6, sorry, that are live, and then 2 that are showing inactive right now. So that's a good way to kind of check on your
Right.
kiddos. All right.
And
ma'am.
normally when that happens, when you have a student that just kind of, somehow might have, some technical difficulties and they end up getting out of the presentation, they usually can just come back in because up here in the corner of the presentation is always the join code.
Right.
Okay?
Always. Very good.
Yes.
So Val, you want to take us through some Nearpod tools?
Yes, let's take a look at the actual Nearpod. Right now, you just really are looking at the presentation and you're as a student, but from the teacher perspective. Okay, so we're
So
going to
make sure, sorry, I just want to make sure that you're on the webinar screen so that way you can see
Yes.
Val's screen mirroring. Yep. Go ahead, sorry.
All right, are
I
we
just
all
want to
there?
make sure they're there.
Okay, so from once you sign in, now you have to remember that there is a free version of Nearpod. You have to also remember, I think that is like the silver. Then there is, what's the next level?
Gold?
Gold, platinum is the 3rd level,
There we go.
and then district user is the 4th level. Those are subscriptions. Those all except the silver are paid versions. And just so you know, Nearpod is EdLaw 2D compliant. It is on our MORIC list, so this makes it a great tool to use in the classroom with your kiddos. As far as really finding information and material and presentations in Nearpod, they've really made it pretty easy. Once you log in, you really you're looking at basically your library right here, because if you look at this, it says My Library. We do have a district user version, so we have access to just about everything. But when you get in there and you take a look, always click on like the Nearpod Lesson Library. So once you click on the Nearpod Lesson Library, you're able to filter through looking for specifics. If you're looking for something in math and you want it to be a 7th or an 8th grade level, you can actually just apply your filters and your Nearpod presentations will pop up that are available. And as you scroll through, more populate as the filtering applies. The other thing that I really like about this is that you can actually come up here and you can click and find your standards. So finding presentations that actually mirror what you're doing in the classroom and standards related. NGSS is now in there. You also can come down here and you can take a look at New York. Now once you're in New York, you can actually click on, let's look at social studies. So once we filter for social studies and we come down here, we can actually filter a grade level. I'm going to go high school. So I look at high school. As I'm filtering through, I also have the availability to find the strand of the standard that I'm actually teaching to. So let's just say cycles of poverty and disease. Okay, so the other piece that I get to do also is I can look at resource type. Now, Nearpod has some great virtual reality pieces. They also have full lessons, they have skill builders, assessments, and warm-ups. But I didn't mark those because I wanted to have everything available. I didn't want to limit it to a specific resource type, but this is what filtered out. So we can look at clean water for all. This is grades 6 through 12. You select one, and then as you go through it, you can actually preview through the presentation. You can read through what's in the presentation. You have how many slides right here. You also have the standards listed over here on the right-hand side. If I wanted to add this to my library, there's a big blue button down here that says add to my library.
There we go.
So if I click on it, it says downloading, lesson successfully added, and then all I have to do is come back to my home button up here, and now I'm going to see that I have that particular Nearpod is right here. There's a couple things that I can do with that. I can do a live lesson, right? So as the teacher, the beauty of Nearpod as a teacher is that you drive the lesson.
Right.
Right?
So that's what you're currently in, is the live lesson today.
So students can't manipulate out, or they can't get out of, well, they can, but you're going to know that they get out
Right.
of the actual lesson, but you're the one that drives the pace.
Right.
Okay? You can also assign it as student pace, so this could be something that you can actually assign to Google Classroom. And with Google Classroom, you can assign it as a homework assignment or just an activity for students to actually get in, to actually work on their own, at their own pace.
Right, and that's what we included. So people that can't be with us live today for the webinar, we included a student pace link in that site. You probably saw it below, that they can use to go through this with us, participate, but on their own time, since they're not here live with us today.
Right. The other thing that I really like about this is, let's just say I want to add something to this particular slide. If I click on the edit button down on the left, a little box pops up and says edit lesson or duplicate lesson. I kind of want to make this my own, so I'm going to duplicate it. So once I duplicate it, now I can go in and I can make any kind of edits that I want to make to it. So all the slides pop up. It tells me the size, because depending on your level of access, you have so much memory, right, in your lessons, or in your drive. I don't want to say drive, but in your library, you do have a memory cap. And just so that you know, the more video that you have in your Nearpod, probably the less memory you're going to be able to have to work with, just depending on the level of access that you have. But what I really like about this is that I can look at every one of these slides, and you know what? If I decided I didn't want to do one of these particular slides, I can select it and I can delete it if I wanted to. Or if I wanted to add something, all I would have to do is come up here and add a slide. When I click add a slide, it gives me the option to add content to that particular slide, or do I make it a web content, or content, or do I create an additional activity? And when you select one of these here, then you have additional options. So the content down here is actually really kind of, there's a lot of great things in here. FET simulations, Nearpod 3D, field trips. The other things that you can do, you could do an actual slide show within your Nearpod, a graphing calculator. You can add video, you can add audio, a PDF, well, a live Twitter stream, okay? The other thing over here, add web content, that's pretty much, all right, what website do you want to send, or do you want the kids to actually go to? So you
Right.
put the URL in there.
Which that's what we also tested with you guys today. So it sent you right to our site that we're using for you, and then later on we're going to have you out a web link to Flipgrid. So we use that today with you, so you'll be able to see how that piece works.
Right. So the last one I want to talk about is add activity. So when you add an activity, this is where the interactive piece
Yeah, these
really,
are the best parts.
right, yes. This is where the students really get involved into the lesson. You build them. So Time to Climb is actually kind of like a gamification kind of feel to Nearpod now. You can actually create open-ended questions where students have to respond. You can create matching pairs, which is actually kind of great for maybe some vocabulary practice. You can put any kind of quiz question in there. You can make it a formative quiz of some sort, or just a check for understanding kind of thing. And then there are reports on the back end that you can actually go in and take a look, so that you can do some kind of data-driven instructional practices where you can actually take a look to see where are kids. So if I wanted to create a quiz, which is really kind of neat, you could add a timer. You can, she has a touchy mouse pad. I wasn't really going to go here, but I did anyway.
We're here, we're in it.
Let's go. Okay, so you can actually put your question here. You can add your answers. If you want to add any kind of reference, which is really neat. So if you wanted to put a PDF in here, or you wanted to add a reference to a video, that's really cool too. If you wanted to duplicate it, you can. And if you want to trash it, you can do that as well. So you can add the answer, so it kind of automatically gives you some real live feed when you're running through the Nearpod. And then you can also add a question. So I want to back out. I'm good. Oh, don't forget down here at the bottom, there's a save button. So we're going to hit cancel because I didn't want to save anything there. So as you go through and you modify your presentation, or you know what, even if you found a presentation that only had 3 or 4 slides to it, you can add the interactive pieces for your purposes depending on what your lesson calls for. And it doesn't have to be a 17-slide presentation. It could be a 2-slide presentation, a 3-slide presentation. But whatever you do, whenever you're creating or editing, just always make sure that you save and exit down here. Okay.
And then we know it's ours because if you see my little Bitmoji there, that one is the one that we had edited, right?
Yes.
So versus the one that was already pre-made.
The pre-made one.
Yeah.
The other thing that I like about this too is that, you know what if I am creating presentations and I want to organize them? If you go up here to this plus up next to your profile picture, you're not going to see it now, but this is the create one. So I'm able to do 4 different things. Well, I could create a subplan if I really wanted to.
Yeah.
I could create folders, another lesson in Nearpod, or create a lesson, and then also a lesson in Google Slides. Because Nearpod and Google Slides are I don't want to say they're interactive. They can be. You can create in Google Slides, bring it into Nearpod, add the interactive pieces to it.
It integrates well.
Right, and that's how they have it set up. But what I'm looking at is I want to create a folder because I want to really start organizing some of the information that I have in this drive. Let's just say, okay, I'm going to create, I got to spell it right, E-N-C-E. Yeah. So I'm going to create a science folder, right? All I have to do is label it, and I can just click create. And now here's my cookie crumb trail. I can look at my science folder, and I can take. Oh, I didn't know that's a new feature, a color. I'm excited. Okay, we're gonna make it purple.
Wow, science is usually green.
I know, right?
Going rogue.
So now you have your cookie crumb trail up there, but if I go back to my lessons, I also now have my purple science folder in my drive, or in my Nearpod account.
Yes.
Okay, you can also do a lot of sorting over here. You can sort recent, lesson title, author, size. So if you end up going through the Nearpod lesson library and you happen to find an author that really has some great content that really follows along with what it is that you're doing, you can actually, if you download their presentations, you can always do a search, make sure that information is on top so that, it's easy access.
You bet.
The other thing I like over here too, if we look at the menu on the left-hand side, we have Nearpods that are specific to English learners, Nearpod Learning Labs. Let's take a look at that. Some of these are new features. And I'm not really quite sure for the free version. When you sign up for a free teacher version, you may not have all of these pieces. Because don't forget, we are looking at a district library. We're looking at the district user level. But digital citizenship and literacy, so anything that falls under that category, when you click on it, any Nearpod in the library that reflects or is in reference to digital citizenship and library will show up. And these are all grade levels too. So you've got K-12, you've got 9-12, you've got grades 3-5, 6-8. Okay, so the digital citizenship and literacy content is I think it's new content. The other thing that I really like about Nearpod, I'm only going to take a few more minutes on this. I'm going to go back to Nearpod lesson library, and I know that what I want to do is I want to come down here and I want to take a look at the virtual reality. So a lot of the things that we do, virtual reality, we think of Google Expeditions, we think of the Google goggles and those kind of things. Well, Nearpod has a library with quite a few variations of different things that are virtual reality. So for example, this is one that I really like to use if I could find it. Let's do ancient civilizations. Okay, so if I search for ancient civilizations, here's a virtual field trip. This is a bundle. Ancient empires. Okay, this is just, there's 5 lessons. Oh, this is the one I want. The Mayan, that's the one I was looking for. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click on that. Okay. if I add, we would have to run it.
Yeah.
But if you scroll through here, you're going to get to a point where you see, all right, a virtual field trip, time to explore. And what's really interesting, and we can show this here, is that you have 360 images that students can zoom in on, that they can turn, they can, you know, move around. And we're just doing this on a mouse pad, or a trackpad. And so, you know, I mean, as far as not having to worry about the goggles, not having to worry about having an iPad or a tablet, you can still do this on a Chromebook. You just have to use, you know, the mouse pad, the trackpad.
Yeah, it's a good alternative if you don't have all those other gadgets in your district, but you only have the Chromebook. It's an equally great experience.
Yes. So this is I like this one. Someday I'll get there.
Vale's getting caught up in the Mayan.
Yes. So as we scroll through, okay, here's another picture. It's the same. So this is a lot of the virtual field trip presentations that they put together. Most of these images really come from a website. It's called 360cities.net. And I am going to tell you, don't let students loose on that one. That would be one that as a teacher, just because it's not, I don't want to say it's not vetted. It's just 360 videos, but anybody can contribute to it. There's some awesome things on there. But because you'd have to look at, you know,
where they're going,
all of the photos or whatever to make sure, I just wouldn't roll that out to students. But this is real interesting, and you know what? You've got some of the little kids, you know, I mean, with the goggles and things like that, sometimes, you know, sometimes it makes students, you know, not feel so well. So this is just a great alternative. I like using this alternative because, you know what, if I use the goggles, I don't feel so well. So for me, this works. And I think there are some students that will work as well. So I just wanted to take a few minutes to show you some of the virtual reality pieces in there.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions?
How we doing over there?
I do have one question.
Sure. Okay.
Danielle was wondering, now this is back to Google Drives.
Yeah.
But she was wondering if you guys had any more examples, any templates of your Google Drive. So she saw on the site that you included a few examples, but she was wondering if there's a compilation out there by category.
Compilation.
That you could share.
Oh.
Thank you.
Well, I will tell you that some of the resources that we've used here have come from Eric Kurtz, Control-Alt-Achieve. He has a bunch of templates on his website. He has a blog. And I don't know,
Casey Bell from Shake Up Learning has a lot of great ones. And honestly, when I Google, like if I'm looking for interactive vocabulary or manipulative vocabulary, if you put those keywords into Google, if you're looking for ideas, usually you'll pop up with some great ideas to get you going. And then you can kind of tweak from there, because once you get used to the features, I think you'll be more comfortable customizing them from scratch. But it's great to have a template to start with. So I think Casey Bell and Control-Alt-Delete are great places to start because they already have quite the library of Google Drawing templates.
And so what I've done is all I did was put Control-Alt-Achieve into my...
Achieve, not delete, yes.
I used to do that all the time.
Oopsies.
So it's Achieve. And once you put it into a URL, it'll pop up. It's like the first one that'll pop up in the Google search. And as you go in, it does, I mean, he has a whole slew of things that he's a Google innovator, and he is excellent. But he has a link over here for Google Drawing. There we go. Once you go to the link and then you start working through or looking through his blog posts, you're going to find lots of things that you are able to download, take a look at, find examples. I hope that answers her question.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Ready to head into Flipgrid, we think?
I think we're ready to. If there aren't any other questions on this one, there can be some additional webinars just on this particular product. If anybody is interested, we can certainly work that in. If we just need to hear from people to see what they would like.
And really, I guess we could do this quickly, but this could be an enticer, so you come back for more webinars. Nearpod is also an add-on into Google Slides. So let's pretend I have a Google slide that I've been working on. I've used it for years. I don't want to give it up, but it's making the kids fall asleep, and I need some interactive activities, right? If you go to add-ons, you would have to install and get the add-on, but I already have it here, Nearpod. So if you do get add-ons, you'll see the little window. It's like an add-on store, and you would type in Nearpod.
Third one.
Or it's right there because everyone uses it. So you would click that and download, and then it would show up right here, Nearpod. And the coolest thing is that it launches right on the side here. So I can go in and remember all of those activities that Val was showing you in the Nearpod website will show up right here in your Google slide. So I could go in and say, you know what, I want to make sure the kids are really knowing this right on the spot. Or I want to know how many of my kids love math. I want to take a poll. You can click that, enter your question right here, your choices. Do you like math? Okay. Okay, and then save it. And if once you're done with this, okay, and you can add in more slides of your own content too, just by adding a text box. And here's, what I want to type as my lesson, and you can really customize it. And then when you're done and you want the kids to use it, just like you're using Nearpod today with a link or a code, you would hit save and go to Nearpod. And it would show,
No, I was just going to say, it'll show in its saving. If you can see right here, it'll save in Nearpod, and you will run the lesson from Nearpod.
Yes.
The only thing that you have to remember is if you put anything interactive in your Google slide, not the quiz, not the Nearpod pieces, but something additional, a web link, something like that, you're not going to be able to click on it in the Nearpod lesson.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I've found that they need to work on.
But if you're using it for those really cool just Nearpod features with just your regular content, you'll be good to go. So it shows up here. You can start a live lesson with the kids. Oh no, I hope I didn't just mess that up. Probably not. Well, maybe.
It'll be
We'll see.
Second one.
Don't join this one. But it gives you the option to join with a code or these links right here. See how it embeds right into Google Classroom. So the cool feature there. But let's head to Flipgrid. So I'm going to give you a second. And can you go back to your Nearpod presentation tab for me? So your Nearpod tab across the top, and hopefully you see the Flipgrid example.
I gotta get rid of this.
Okay, I hope so. And we're going to, that's all right, we can just put it back. Okay, so now I'm going to take you to Flipgrid. So I embedded a website to take you here. And hopefully you're seeing our Flipgrid activity. So as you're getting there, and again, if you have trouble with this, please let Kristen know, we can walk you through it. But as you're getting there, I want to talk to you a little bit about Flipgrid. So Flipgrid is basically an interactive, video-based presentation of your thoughts. So the teacher can go in and pose a question or a prompt, and then the kids respond in a video fashion. So they can record themselves. The kids have a few different options to just do audio. So if you don't want your face showing, and you'll have that option too, because we're gonna make you test it out. If you don't want the kids' face showing, just that audio feature or a full video.
What's really
Responding to
interesting
the
though
prompt.
is after the kids actually do their video, they have the option of putting some face filters on. So I've had students many times,
Yes.
put the big glasses on, the hat, they cover their face, they put something so that they can't see their face. But you know what? After a while, when they get used to doing a Flipgrid, then it's not so much a big issue.
So again, stay on the Flipgrid website. Don't be in the webinar piece, and we'll just kind of walk you through the activity. So up at the top is just the title. And you see the title again, introductions. You see our little GIF here of Austin Powers, okay? And then our prompt. So welcome to our classroom grid. This is a space for you to practice using Flipgrid as a student. So this is the student view that you're seeing, which I think is kind of better to practice in sometimes because we often don't get a chance to see that student view. So I give you some directions. Tap the green plus to open the Flipgrid camera, then record a short video. And what we would like for you to actually record, because we're hoping this kind of counts towards your participation and being live with us in the webinar, is just to introduce yourself and share one way that you think you could use Flipgrid in your classroom. To give you a little hint, our foreign language teachers in the middle school love this. It's a really great way to have that speaking piece, right? And hear the kids, and you don't have to go to kid to kid and listen right there on the spot. They could do this in class, and you could take this home with you and listen to them at home with a glass of chocolate milk. Right? That's what we all drink, right, after school? Okay.
With the rubric right next to it.
With the rubric right next, okay? And then I put the little, don't be embarrassed. You can put a little emoji to cover your face, like Val was saying. Just play with the features.
Glasses on, a hat.
Yeah.
You know.
So we're gonna give you just a couple minutes. Can you try this out? Click the green plus and record yourself there.
So you'll actually end up going through 3 different steps, right?
Yes.
You'll when you click the plus, go ahead and click the, there you go.
Yep.
It'll ask you to log in.
It'll ask you to log in. You can log in with your Google account, which I'm assuming many of you probably have through your school. So we'll just give you a couple minutes to do that because you're not seeing my screen, hopefully. Hopefully you're on your own Flipgrid screen walking through these steps. Do we have any technical difficulties, Kristen?
Nothing I'm seeing yet.
Okay, good.
I did mention that maybe you ladies could mention the websites that you talked about for the templates and just add them to Google Sites.
Oh yeah, totally.
So that, and I mentioned Learning in Hand, Tony Vincent.
Oh,
Also
perfect.
does a lot with Google's Drive, so we'll add that in.
Awesome.
Yeah, good. We'll add it as a
That way
tab.
we have it to reference later on.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very good. Thank you.
So what we're really kind of hoping to see is that once you have 1 minute and 30 seconds actually to do your video. If you take
Yeah.
the full 1 minute 30, okay, fine. If you don't, you only want to do 10 seconds, 30 seconds, that's fine as well. As soon as you complete your video, you have to take a selfie of yourself.
Yeah.
Because the
But
selfie
just
is
do it.
the cover of your actual answer in the actual teacher grid.
Yes.
Right? Once you take the selfie of yourself, and then I think they want you to put your name. I think they want you to add a name.
Yeah.
And then you just submit, and it'll show up on our view as a teacher
Yes.
in the grid. And I also believe, because we didn't set the permissions to only moderate, they will automatically show up in the grid, so everyone else will be able to see as well.
Yeah, so
I hope
just-
that's not an added
Just
little bit
take
of
it.
anxiety.
Just take it one. Just take it 1 second, 1 minute even, just to try it out, and we'll hope to see your video responses pop up because we can see this on the teacher end. So hopefully you're trying it. We're gonna wait.
So they're not really hearing that yet, though.
Well, they might be because it's still over their audio, right? Yeah. If you don't have access to like your microphone or camera, if your computer doesn't allow that, it's okay. Don't fret. But we thought as many people that could try it, try it out. Or if you have this on your school computer, you can get back into this and try it again on your school computer.
Or just make a funny face and submit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Anything.
we're not grading this.
Nothing yet. Hey, we only have 10 minutes left, so if we get a couple submissions, maybe we could end a few minutes early. You could be on your way.
Cue the music.
I know, we need some background music.
It's some Jeopardy music.
Yeah. They're seeing this, right?
No, because
No,
they're on
they're
their
on
own.
this-
Yeah,
okay.
they're on their own screen.
Again, just to let you know, I mean, Flipgrid could be its own 1 hour webinar if we really
Oh, yeah.
wanted to dive deep into how can you actually use this in the classroom, how do we use it with the content, basically, what kind of prompt questions. You know, I mean, there's lots of things that you can do with Flipgrid
Yes.
because they have Flipgrid scavenger hunts now. They have, well, just Flipgrid prompts, whatever you decide to use within your lesson.
Right.
Checks for understanding.
Oh, we have one! Danielle,
Flipgrid
thank
Friday.
you!
Hi, Danielle
Oh, there you
Cooper
go,
here.
Danielle.
I'm thinking maybe this
Perfect.
could be used
And she put a little
for
emoji. That
students
wasn't so
maybe
scary,
to
right?
show results of their experiments.
Okay. Awesome. So if
Nice.
you're in the middle of recording, go ahead and finish that. But if you want to flip over back to your webinar screen, just for the sake of time, we're showing you the teacher view right now. So if you go back to your YouTube tab, we have the teacher side of things. So that's how I knew that Danielle had submitted, because I saw her name right at the bottom there, and I was able to view it.
Hi, Danielle
There
Cooper
she
here.
is.
I'm thinking maybe this could be used
So that's pretty awesome. You can give
for
feedback
students
to
maybe
students
to
right here.
show results of
for
their
them to see.
experiments.
A ton of different features. And again, like Val said, this could be a whole hour webinar right in itself with all of those awesome features.
Yeah, just one feature that's really been added. You can print a QR code that really goes along with a student reflection, but as a student scans it, it'll do a virtual reality kind of a augmented actual picture of the student on the device itself. It's really kind of a cool feature.
Yeah. And if you want to switch back to your Nearpod tab for a second, I know we're kind of toggling, but we warned you in the beginning. Your Nearpod tab, I'm going to take you to some Flipgrid settings. So Val and I just kind of picked out some hot button setting pieces that you might want to know as a teacher. So as you're creating your own grid for teacher or for your students to go in and record, these are some settings that we pulled out for you. The rest you can kind of walk yourself through on your own. It is self-explanatory a little bit, but these are some cool settings that we thought you might want to know.
So,
question?
Just one really quick. The commenting for students on videos, that can be turned off.
Yes, so that's one of our settings. If you want to pop back over to Nearpod, that is one of our settings right here. So where it says topic status, okay, video moderation, so that's approving videos. So that means we as teachers have to go in and say, yes, this is good before other students can see it. But you can also turn on and off that student-to-student replies. So that is one of those important setting pieces there.
So one of the things that when I first started using Flipgrid, you want to flip back to that
Oh yeah,
slide?
sorry.
One of the first things that I noticed, or it took me a little bit to really kind of, I guess, put in my brain, is that you have grid settings, but then you have topic settings. So the grid setting is all about like the overarching, what is, maybe it's a unit, maybe it's a chapter, that kind of thing. And then you have topic settings. So topic settings sit under the grid settings. That's why you're going to see there are two separate sections to change settings, that kind of thing. So your grid settings, right, the overall setting, what kind of grid type is it? You want to make sure it's appropriate with school email, what kind of features, leave default settings, you can leave that there. And then also you can personalize. Personalize really is just about putting a pretty picture.
Yep, that's that banner that you saw where it said introductions behind it. But the settings, and this is kind of the carrot that we're dangling for you. If you really want to learn more about Nearpod or learn more about Flipgrid, let us know in the comments, so that way we can kind of create something that's just centered around these. But I think the goal of today was just to show you an overview of some really great integrated features that can make your content that you already have a little bit more engaging for kids and kind of get that instant feedback that we're looking for.
Right. So just to recap, we talked about Google Drawings, we talked about Google Slides, we talked about Nearpod, look at you, and we talked about Flipgrid. So four things that, you don't, yes, there's a little bit of learning curve in some of them, maybe Nearpod, maybe Flipgrid. If you're already a Google school, you probably are already using Google Slides, you're already using Google Classroom. Google Drawing might be something that's new to you, but like I said, that's one of those hidden gems. I've always thought that, there's a lot of power in Google Drawing. So yes, accessing some of those websites that have some templates already put there is a great feature to actually, start working with Google Drawing.
Totally. Well, I think we should let them go a couple minutes early. What do you think?
I think so.
We only have a couple minutes left. So thank you for joining us.
Yes.
And we have our site link that's in that description that you clicked on before, but we can email this out to the participants that were there, as well as a recording of this video, so that way you can go watch again if we were a little too fast for you. But leave your
feedback, comments. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did we talk too fast? Did you
Right.
like some of our jokes? Did we make any jokes? Probably not. But.
And just don't forget, down on the main page on the Actively Engaging Students website, we have our contact information. So
Yes.
feel free to reach out. Feel free to send us an email. Thumbs up, you like the webinar. Thumbs down, you know what, you guys.
Don't do it again.
Keep practicing. We will tell you, just as a disclaimer, this is our first one.
Yes.
So it was fun. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
And we look forward to hearing from you.
Yes. Signing off.